No, don't do it.
Yes, you can.
No.
Just do it.
No.
Do it.
No, don't do it.
Hold on, do it. Yeah. Oh my God.
It's hard to keep a straight face through that soundbite. So we've got, what is it, 4 do's and don'ts. Here's how it's gonna work.
Yeah.
All right. Badaki is playing good cop. I'm playing bad cop. Badaki's gonna tell you what you should do, and I'm gonna give you the other side, what you should not do. Okay, so Badaki, what are some things that you should do this year in a dynasty league?
Yeah, absolutely. And what you should do is be looking for the weak link. And I'm sorry that this is, if you are that person, but do it with respect in your league. I'm sorry, little number one. Okay, you need to have some respect. Okay, but you also have to have the mentality that this league or whatever league that you're in is a doggy dog, world. That's what fantasy football is. You need to go win. You need to get what you want. And sometimes it's kind of about beating people to the punch and taking advantage of your league mates before anyone else. So if I know that Zach likes Antonio Gibson and he's trying to go for Antonio Gibson, or he's going to go for Antonio Gibson next week, I'm going to do that this week and make sure I get Antonio Gibson so I can get him from that other teammate. But you got to learn from that, and I think there's some things that you have to do, once again, with respect. And if you don't know who the weak link is in your league, then we got bad news for you, honestly, because if you don't know who that is, then that's you, brother. Okay? Or girl, or sister. Okay.
Yep. The don't side of that is don't get played, right? Don't be that guy. You played yourself. If someone pulls a trade on you and the whole league is in the chat saying, oh my, what the heck is this guy doing?
Yeah.
Congratulations, you played yourself. You are the weakling. Don't be that guy. Make sure you've done your research. Don't allow someone to pull a fast one over you, because you're going to have to learn some way. You're going to learn by being the reason you had to learn, or you're going to learn from someone else making a mistake. How are you going to learn how to trade? And a little plug, if you want to make sure that you don't get screwed over on any trades, if you are new to Dynasty or Fantasy, patreon.com/fantasylandfootball. Sorry, it's patreon.com/fantasylandfam.
There you go.
That's where you can sign up. And there's actually going to be a $5 option for you to ask us any questions throughout the entire season. We haven't launched that just yet, but it'll launch in the next couple weeks. Don't get played. Don't allow yourself to get played. Make sure you've done your research. Make sure you know who you're trading for. Don't allow a text to be sent out. The trade has been put through. The commission sent it through. And then everyone's texting you like, what the hell is wrong with you, man?
Yeah.
What the hell is wrong with you?
You just don't get played. I love it. But also
Any
make
examples
sure
of that, Padaki?
You're taking advantage. All right.
Any examples? Because I think you have played someone before. I've played someone before.
Yeah.
Have you ever got played?
Great example. Our very first league with, you're going to hear this name a lot, I think, in this podcast, is Elijah Burns. Okay. And he didn't know much. This is when Tariq Cohen came into the league with the Chicago Bears a couple years ago. And I was like, yo, I got a source about Tariq that he's going to go off.
Oh my God.
You need to take Tariq Cohen. You need to trade for him, and I have him. I don't want much for it. I don't know who I traded him for. I probably traded him.
I'm a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. I traded him probably for some player that was relevant in fantasy at the time, which he really didn't know, or probably was having a bad couple weeks, and Tyreek was going off at that time. But once I traded Tyreek to him, Tyreek disappeared. So that's kind of an example of you taking advantage and finding the weakness, because Elijah didn't know much about fantasy at the time, and that's a great little understanding.
I'll give you one. Shout out to your boy Tommy, your boy Bricks. We started a league last year, and it was his first year playing fantasy football. I love you, Bricks. He drafted 2 quarterbacks in a 1 quarterback league in the first 4 rounds. Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson. And I thought to myself, okay, I know he doesn't know much about fantasy, so how do I capitalize in this draft? So I took the San Francisco 49ers defense, the first defense off the board. And I didn't take it because I cared so much about the 49ers defense. I took it because I knew Tommy was a 49ers fan.
Yeah.
So after the draft, I'm going to him. And essentially, before the season even starts, I was able to trade the 49ers defense for Deshaun Watson. So I'm sorry, Bricks. I shouldn't have done that to you. But you either get played or you're the one who's playing someone. So it's a dog-eat-dog world. Don't get played, people. Don't get played. All right, what else should people be doing, Kadaki?
What you should be doing is valuing your draft picks. Value draft picks, okay? And what I mean by that is like draft picks, when you're in Dynasty, you trade draft picks. There's an option to trade draft picks. So if I like somebody coming into the league next year, I can trade for the 101 or the 102 in the 2022 draft, okay? So draft picks aren't just a throwaway asset, okay? And I think the best way I kind of can explain this to you is that you need to do your research and understand. We're not saying you have to watch college football, but keep an eye out. Read some 1 or 2 articles of like, this guy is going to come out and be an amazing running back or an amazing quarterback. Great example, Jonathan Taylor. I know a lot of people. I know multiple people that love Jonathan Taylor. They love Jonathan Taylor his sophomore year. He had 2 more years in the league. Or technically 1 more year in the league.
In college.
And they was like, I want that guy.
Wisconsin.
They said, I want this guy on their fantasy team. I want that guy on my fantasy team. So what did they do? In his sophomore year in college, they traded for the 2020 NFL draft, the 2019, something like that. I forgot what year.
In Dynasty. So they traded for the 2020 rookie draft pick.
Correct. 2 years prior of Jonathan Taylor coming into the league. So value your draft picks, and that's what people do. Do your research, and remember that's for the future. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'll say value draft picks, but also don't play timidly. You need to take calculated risks, and you need to know why it's a calculated risk. For example, if you're drafting a player that was previously injured, whether it's a rookie, whether it's a startup, what kind of injury was it? Where is that player currently in his recovery? And what are some other players who have had similar injuries? How have they recovered? Were they able to retain their status again? Were they able to get back to the level of play that they were at before? Or another example, trading for veteran players. What is their contract situation? If you're going to trade for an Adam Thielen, who's a little bit older, but still a very valuable asset, what's his contract situation? How many years are going to get out of him? Because you don't get to redraft in Dynasty. You're keeping that guy until you trade him or he retires or he goes to a different team. You know, Antonio Brown's a great scenario. His contract, when it started to come to a time where it was about to end, whoever kept Antonio Brown screwed themselves, right? If you were able to trade him and if you were ahead of the curve before all that nonsense happened, I know it was some other things that got involved there. But when you looked at his contract, if you said, hey, let me trade this asset right now. Sometimes you have to make sure you don't play timidly. And the other side of that as well is if you're in a spot where you feel like, hey, I could actually win this year. I think I could win this year. Don't be afraid to go all in, right? Because at the end of the day, you're not playing to get second 3 years in a row. You're playing to get a championship. Even if it's one championship, at least you got it, and you can say, "Hey, I'm a champ. I'm a champ." So don't play timidly, but also value your draft picks.
I agree, and I think one thing that we have to keep in mind is that you don't want to end up like the Houston Texans in real life. Okay.
Oh God.
You don't want to give away all your draft picks, and you don't want to give away all this value and talent that's coming into the league. For example, if 2 years ago you had an inkling that there was this tremendous talent coming into this year's 2021 draft, Zach and I can probably give you 20 names that we can say all these guys can be stars, and they might not be a star, but that's the chance that you're taking, and that's how you can kind of gauge it and say, you know what, I like this guy, I want to get that draft pick because I want to take him at the 103. I want to take I don't know, Najee Harris at the 103 because I believe he's a tremendous talent. So, I like that.
Love it.
All right. Number 3, okay? value youth over experience. Okay. And this is my little segment where I like to call fresh legs. Okay. And this is a dynasty league. Okay. You're playing for the long haul. Okay. You're not playing for right now. You're not playing for, some people like to, but in my perspective, the youth is the future of the NFL and of dynasty. Okay. Great example. Derrick Henry. He's a beast. We can all both agree on that. He had a tremendous year last year. He broke records. He ran for over 2,000 yards and he had a crazy amount of touches.
Yeah.
But we can both agree that he is going to decrease in production, and that that expectation of him doing that year after year after year, it's going to be hard. So what you do, you bring in fresh legs, not saying that, we're not saying Derrick Henry's washed. We're saying that, get somebody that has fresh legs coming into the league and say, you know what, this guy can last me 4 to 5 years, where Derrick Henry can really only last you another 1 to 2 years. In a fantasy dynasty perspective, we're not saying Derrick Henry is trash. Yeah. he's an amazing player.
No, definitely. And you know what? He might hit 2,000 yards again this year because there's 17 games, right? So the way we talk about stats is going to have to change with an extra game. But yeah, no, I like it. You know, you probably value a guy like Saquon, who's younger, over a guy like Derrick Henry, even though there's some injury history there. You probably value a guy like Jonathan Taylor over a guy like Derrick Henry because of the youth. But I guess a mirror to that is don't focus only on rookies, right? Rookies should be highly valued in dynasty leagues. Yeah. But you shouldn't have a team with just rookies, right? The best teams are the ones that have a mix of rookies and veterans that play in great roles. Sometimes in dynasty, we view veterans, it's such a black sheep word. Oh, he's a veteran, man. He's 28. He's 29. I don't know well, hey, if he has a promised role, then he's still a very valuable fantasy football asset, even in dynasty. For example, Henry Ruggs, right? He would have been a very high dynasty draft pick last year. While he still has a bunch of upside and he could have a breakout year this year, if you were to have traded, let's say, an Allen Robinson for a high pick last year and taken in Henry Ruggs, you would have devalued Allen Robinson because he's a little bit of an older wide receiver for a player who doesn't have a promised role. There's no proven role for Henry Ruggs just yet. So there are players that we're talking about right now, Rondale Moore, right? We're talking about Kadarius Toney. Yeah. We're talking about all these players, Terrace Marshall, Rashad Bateman, Devonta Smith, all these players that right now we see as fantasy gold. But if they don't get the role, it doesn't matter. So you can't overvalue rookies either. You also need to have a good mix of rookies, veterans. That is the best way to win your dynasty leagues. Yeah. All right. Our last do's and don'ts, Badaki. Do what?
Okay. Do value quarterbacks in dynasty. Okay. And, you know, when Zach and I were doing this research and kind of trying to figure out, you know, what are the things that we wanted to do and wanted to say, and this is one thing that we wanted to say, we just didn't know how to say it. So we actually found an article. This is a really great guy, and I just want to read this to you, and maybe we can put it in somewhere. Maybe we'll post it in our Discord if you wanted to read it. Okay. In redrafts, it's common to wait and find value at the quarterback position, but the longevity of an elite quarterback can be much larger value in dynasty. Sacrificing an early pick on Patrick Mahomes is giving up a high-end wide receiver or running back in redrafts can hurt your team. In Dynasty, though, having Patrick Mahomes for a decade is a huge advantage. Okay, it is magnified. It is magnified. It is magnified even more in Superflex leagues. Okay, players coming from redraft will often have been successful with a waiting on quarterback strategies, which can backfire in Dynasty. So essentially what that means is that you want to take a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes that signed a 10-year contract. You know, he's a superstar. He's on the Kansas City Chiefs. He has an amazing quarterback, amazing weapons around him. And you know he's going to be those are guaranteed points. Whereas somebody in the late rounds, let's say someone like a Sam Darnold, someone like a
Ryan Tannehill,
not Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, that's really late.
Ryan Tannehill, you're gonna get him real late, but Ryan Tannehill, maybe.
Yeah, Ryan Tannehill, Matt Ryan, like those type of guys. you're kind of taking those chances with them. So you want to get guaranteed points with your quarterbacks and value. A quarterback's essentially, especially in Superflex, is a great foundation for your team. Okay, because there's so much talent going around, but quarterbacks is really hard to come by because they're really a short amount.
If you're in a 2 quarterback league, I agree. Yeah, and most dynasty leagues will be Superflex, so that makes sense. I like the idea because you can't redraft a quarterback next year or get a quote unquote sleeper. You know, like everyone has everyone in Dynasty. So I like it. While you should value quarterbacks, I'll also say don't panic pick a draft.
Right.
Don't panic pick. Strategies are great and executing them can be very successful. You can get great results from them. However, don't freak out if your strategy isn't working out during the draft. Whether it's a zero running back, zero running back or running back heavy, quarterback heavy, whatever it is, don't panic when it doesn't go your way. For example, let's say you really do value quarterbacks, but for some reason it's the 3rd round and already a bunch of them are gone and Aaron Rodgers is the best available. Aaron Rodgers is old and the 3rd round is way too high for Aaron Rodgers just because you have a strategy that you want to take a bunch of quarterbacks early.
Yeah.
Switch it up. Look for the best value there. Don't draft only based off of your strategy. Don't panic pick. Have a bunch of players that you like going in, that you like at their ADP. And of course, again, unshamed plug, patreon.com/fantasylandfam is the easiest way for you to hear all of our personal advice one-on-one going into 2021. But don't panic pick. You don't want to end the draft and look and say, oh my God, I had a strategy going in and I completely screwed myself.
Yeah.
Allow the draft to come to you and then react with wisdom, not panic.
And I love that. I just want to add one thing. If there's no quarterbacks, remember, this is Dynasty. This is the long haul. You can get a good quarterback coming into the next draft, and you have the 101, 102, 103. That can be your quarterback. Once again, you want to win this year, but remember, you want to win in the long run as well. So think about that.
All right. Well, those are the do's and don'ts. We have a couple bonus rounds. We're going to go through these lightning fast. Okay. So here's a bonus. Don't hedge your bets on exactly what an expert may say, right? Play with your heart. Fantasy is all about taking the information we know and making an educated guess. Badaki, you and I, we take the information we know on a weekly basis for start and sits, and we make an educated guess. But however, you can't just play off what an expert says.
Yeah.
Don't hear us. Don't hear someone else, and just take exactly what we say, and don't put any research of your own in. Where's your heart in the situation? You got to play with your heart. It should be a game of passion. This is the most fun game in the entire world.
That's right.
So you should play it with some passion rather than just hearing it from an analyst. For example, let's say you did love Henry Ruggs last year in Dynasty and you took him with a 105 or something. If Henry Ruggs pans out and you are the reason that you drafted him because of your passion for him alone, that victory for you is going to be so much bigger than some analysts saying, hey, go draft Henry Ruggs. It's going to be a future superstar. Right now, we're telling you Javonte Williams could be a future superstar, right? We've been saying that all offseason.
Yeah.
But if you don't feel that way, don't draft him. You got to play with your heart. You have to play off a little bit of gut. It's a combination of gut, heart, passion, educated guesses, and fun. That's the big
great.
5.
Yeah, the 5 things. Dip, dodge, dive, dodge, dodgeball.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I love that. I think that's great. And one thing I just want to add on to that as well is that I play with my heart all the time. I find that to work out for me a lot. I do have a lot of information that I take from a lot of other people. I ask Zach, ask a league mate as well. I think those are great things that you can do as well, even though this is a don't, but I guess I'm kind of doing a do in that as well.
We got 2 more bonuses. Well, I'll do the next one. I'll let you finish the last one.
Okay.
This is our second bonus. Don't let the short-term results affect you. Stay in the game. Dynasty, specifically, even more than a redraft league, is a marathon, not a sprint. If you lose weeks 1 to 3 in a redraft, you're freaking out. 1, you shouldn't freak out in a redraft. because you could win the next 3. But in Dynasty, let's say you are it's the worst team in Dynasty history. That's okay, because next year you're going to have the 101.
That's
and
right.
you could take a guy like a Najee Harris, right? You could take a guy like a Trevor Lawrence if it's a 2-quarterback league. However you want to do it, don't freak out. It's okay if you're really bad. NFL teams do it. Think about tanking. Thinking about how I could build my future right now. Don't let the short-term results affect you. Stay in the game. Know that you have a plan. If you start to do really bad, think about the future. You're not going to always be there. Just hold on. We're going home.
Just hold on. Our last we're going to end on a high note. Build relationships for the long haul, okay? And one thing is, trust is key in a relationship. Obviously, if you're in a relationship, you will know your partner. They need to trust you, and it's key also.
But I just moved into a new place there's some trust there.
Yeah, and that's also including in business. There's trust in business as well. Okay, there's so many aspects, and what you have to do is that if you are a guy who's going to be taking advantage of a newbie, then make sure you build that reputation for yourself. Like you know that's going to be the reputation that you're building for yourself, which you kind of don't want. And which is bad, which you kind of have to rekindle and make sure you bring them back all together, which I've done once again with the Eliza trade, me saying to Tariq Cohen, he didn't trust me the year after. Okay. It was really bad. So I had to build that relationship back up and say, you know what? I'm not going to do that to you no more. You can trust me. Let's do some trades. Don't start off on the wrong foot.
Yeah. Trust is key in a relationship. It's key in business, and fantasy football is a combination of business and relationships. So, yeah, I like it. Make sure you're building relationships for the long haul. If you screw someone over, you need to know that they're going to think about you that way. And the rest of the league might think of you that way as well. When Badaki screwed Elijah over this year, we all thought of him a little bit differently as well.
They said I screwed him over, but they were just mad that I got the person that I wanted.
It's a dog-eat-dog world. Go back to number 1. Look for the weakling. Dog-eat-dog world. I'm sorry, little one. Shout out to Thanos. Okay, those are our do's and don'ts of Dynasty Fantasy Football in 2021. We hope you enjoyed them. We're going to close the show by telling you about our one link that will tell you everything we do as fantasy football. That link is solo.to/fantasylandfootball. If you want to be a part of our live mock drafts, our Discord server is in there. If you want to watch the show on YouTube, the link's in there for our YouTube. Subscribe and hit the notifications so you don't miss our next videos. If you want to listen to the podcast on different podcast platforms, that link is also going to take you to options to listen. Our Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of it's in there. And then, yeah. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Yo, what's good? Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the best of fantasy football. We got some more videos as well if you're feeling like it. And lastly, don't forget that you can support us and unlock exclusive content by signing up to our Patreon, patreon.com/fantasylandfam.